Another issue Jason Kenney is tackling head-on as Premier is a constitutional fight with Ottawa. He testified at the Senate hearings on Bill C-48. That is the proposed tanker ban on coastal waters north of Vancouver Island. Kenney said the bill attacks Alberta's energy industry, and if passed as is, Alberta would launch a constitutional challenge. This is where we bring in Danielle Smith from Global News Radio 770 CHQR to continue the conversation. I've said constitutional challenge a few times this morning, Danielle.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to hear it a lot under this new premier. He's in a bit of a bind in the same way that British Columbia was in a bind when we passed the Bill 12 through the legislature here under Rachel Notley's government, but didn't proclaim it. They went to court saying, we got to stop that bill. And the court said, unless it's proclaimed, you can't challenge it at all. That was the significance of Jason Kenney making that proclamation yesterday, is that will now probably launch British Columbia into a challenge against us. And we'll see how that wends its way through the court. But he's now in the same position, I suspect, with both Bill C-48, which is the tanker ban, as well as Bill C-69, which he's referred to as the No More Pipelines bill, is that both of those would have to go through the Senate, be proclaimed into law before he could initiate a legal challenge against them. At this point, he's just trying to make the arguments before the Senate about why it shouldn't pass. And I think he made some terrific arguments yesterday. A couple of things that I found really interesting was the delegation that he brought with him. He brought with him members of the building trades and CLAC, which is the Christian Labor Association. And so they have, what that shows is he's got union backing. The building trades represent the umbrella group of all of the trades that are involved in the oil sands. So that was an interesting tactic. Plus, he also brought representatives from the Indigenous community. Calvin Helene is one of the individuals that he made reference to, and Chief Mackinac from the Ermiskin Reserve as well. It was sort of interesting to hear how the senators respond and say, wait a minute, when we go to the coast, we get a totally different attitude from First Nations communities. What's going on here? It's like the world's flipped upside down. And I think I think was really powerful. I think it was very well strategized for him to do that. And then his arguments were terrific. I'm going to play a little bit of that today so people can hear for themselves. The question will be, is it going to be enough to turn enough minds in the Senate to either stall this bill, hoist this bill, delay this bill, so that we can get through an election and see whether or not it presses restart on the whole process.
Yeah, lots to talk about for sure. Thanks, Danielle, for your time.
Thank you.
Danielle Smith's show is on Global News Radio 770 CHQR starting at 9:30 this morning.